Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to have a look at the GOOSE tank. Yes, the M6A2E1 experimental, the EXP, and talking about just how good this tank is, and it doesn't get enough credit. This tank, when first introduced to the game, was so freaking good. Nobody knew how to deal with this tank. Now people know how to deal with it, but it is still a very, very good tank. Now the turret armor is 199 millimeters, and that is exactly the same as the hull. So the hull is also strong as well. People will struggle to pen you. They will have to switch to the premium ammo, and then of course, yeah, they will pen you, but of course they're doing less damage. But the turret does have some weak points, but on the sort of either side of the gun. But if you're moving your turret, it does become a very difficult pen. The gun is pretty much the T34. It's got pretty much the same kind of gun as the T34. 1900 DPM, 12 seconds on the reload, 12.6 seconds on the reload. Penetration is more than enough at 248 and 297 on your APCR. So you get a pen pretty much most things that come in front of you. No need to use the calibrated shells. Just go with the rammer because it does have enough pen. Aim time, of course, is not great at 4.9. Dispersion, however, is not too bad for what it is at 0.317, and it does have a nice 10 degrees of gun depression. Now the speed is only 29 kilometers per hour, so it's not the quickest of tanks by a long shot. So we're going to have two games, one which is I mean, this is me, and then we're going to have one from another player. Now, this is a game like this is very frustrating because I always play Supremacy. I'm always playing Supremacy now. I don't know why, to be honest. I've just got used to playing Supremacy for so long. I just carried on playing Supremacy. But if this battle was not Supremacy, I would be winning this game with a lot of damage. But unfortunately, it is Supremacy, and I have to deal with that. So first up, we don't go to the middle. The middle would be ideal because, of course, you do have that 10 degrees of gun depression. You do have that very strong turret as well. And if you're in a hold down position using that gun depression, then yeah, not many tanks are going to be able to penetrate you. Now the Tiger 2, as you can see there, he is struggling to penetrate us, and already the enemy are one tank down. Now I am pushing this Tiger, but I have to be very, very careful because I know that there is 3 tank destroyers on the enemy team, and you can see I don't even have to face that way, and I still managed to get a bounce from that T28 HTC. Of course, that is a tier 7. When you're top tier, this tank is basically like a god tank. It is so freaking good, amazing. But when you're top tier, when you're bottom tier, of course it's going to be a lot easier to deal with, but you're still going to be able to penetrate your enemy even if they are tier 9s with no problem whatsoever. So we have taken care of the Tiger now, but it is a 4 versus 5, and as you can see, the enemy have 3 Supremacy bases. Now I do take a little bit of time. Now I don't even realize about the Supremacy points, etc. What I should be doing right now is pushing up. I should be pushing up to clear the housing, and maybe I could then go for the HTC, but I mess up here. I'm obviously going to go for the shot. I only track him. I don't realize at this point of how many. I'm just focused on my game, and that is the problem with Supremacy. Sometimes you kind of forget about the Supremacy points because you're just playing your game before it's too late, and you can't really do much about it. So the enemy have 3 bases still, and they're almost at 700 Supremacy points. There goes the HTC, and now is when I'm gonna start pushing. I should have pushed a long time ago, and I really think if I would have pushed a long time ago when I was about to push, this game could have been completely different, because I would have already capped this base. I would have already killed the Hellsing by now, and it would have been a lot easier, and I could have even made my way to base C as well. But now I'm alone against 4 tanks. I am on my own against 4 tanks, but it's not a problem. Not a problem when you're in this tank. It is not a problem whatsoever. Of course, the armor profile frontally is very good, side no good, rear no good, and people will HG you from the rear, and they even can HG you from the side as well. So do be careful with that. Always make sure you are facing your enemy. So yeah, this tank doesn't really come for sale that often, to be honest. There's 2 tanks. There is 2 GOOSE tanks, this one and the tier 7 one. Even the tier 7 one has kind of the same armor profile, but it's a tier below. So even when that one comes for sale, it definitely is worth thinking about purchasing that tank. So now I've got it down to a 1 versus 2, but look at the supremacy points. I managed to get this tiger now down to a 1 shot, and you can see us angling. He does pen us. He does pen us from there into our turret, and that's what I mean. It does have weak points, and you have to bear that in mind. But we still finish on 3.7k damage, but we basically left a full hit point KV4. So very unfortunate. We get quite a bit of block damage as well, 1700 block damage, and you can see the KV4 there. We would have easily beat him. We would have easily beat him, and we would have finished with over 5,000 damage. But it's my own fault as well. I forgot about the supremacy points, and that's what you have to deal with when you are playing supremacy, unfortunately. So next up, we're going to have a better game than that was, and we're watching Jimpa from North, another regular subscriber who always sends me replays. He's a very, very good player, and he's constantly sending me replays. I've used quite a few of his replays before, and he's going to showcase just how good this tank can actually be. And as I said, it doesn't get enough love. I really don't think this tank gets enough love. If you go watch one of my first videos about this tank, I'm pretty much saying what I'm saying now. It's a fantastic tank that in the right situation can perform really, really, really well. And if you are in that hold down position, as I say with a lot of tanks with a strong turret, you can't just sit there in a hold down position and expect to get bounce after bounce after bounce. You need to work as well. You need to work those bounces. They're not just going to come naturally. There's only a few tanks in the game that will naturally get bounces. Things like the Mouse, the IS-4, the VK-72, and this isn't one of them. This has got very good armor. Yes, it's got good armor, but if you're just sat in a position, not moving, not making the enemy easy work, giving them easy target, easy work, then yeah, you're not going to bounce much. You have to make them work. And when you're in a hold down position and people can only sort of see red and a couple of weak points, it is so frustrating when they can't hit them weak points because you're constantly moving backwards and forwards or side to side. It is very frustrating, and this is one of those tanks that does that. If you're constantly moving, it's going to be very difficult for them to be able to penetrate you. So 1,500 damage so far from our guy here, and you can see even he's coming out sort of, he's not coming out sideways, he's still, well, he is, but he's still coming out at an angle that is very difficult for the E75 TS to be able to do anything. And of course that T54 lightweight really paid the price by showing just a small bit of his drive wheel there, but now he's a one shot and there's not going to be much he can do now. So he's looking at just waiting. He's being very patient with these guys, and you can see him aiming. The aim time isn't great, so you do need to sort of fully aim in. You don't want to waste your shots. You don't want the DPM to go any lower than it already is. So 2,300 damage now. I love the fact that he is being patient. There is a lot of guys around him, but all of his team are still around him as well. So the whole battle, 14 people are all around this side of the map, but his team have started to fall. They are starting to lose hit points, but also the enemy do have a few that are a one shot as well. This T54, this E75 is now a one shot, and he does manage to clear him. And of course there is a couple of tanks behind that are one shots as well. So I love the fact now he's using this time. Now he knows he has to push. It's a 3 versus 6, and he needs to get these pens, he needs to get these kills, and he needs to get rid of these guys. And you could just see there again, he bounced a Jag Tiger from the side. I mean, that's almost impossible. That's not the tank, that's the Jag Tiger. So don't think that you're going to bounce everything. I mean, it's not an IS-4. IS-4 will bounce, or IS-7s or anything like that will bounce from the side, from the rear, from the front. Doesn't matter what position you're in with some of these tanks, you're going to get bounces. Where this tank is not one of those tanks that should get bounces from the side or the rear. So that all was on the Jag Tiger there, and you can see even again frontally, he just gets that easy bounce. So 4k damage now. It is now a 1 versus 3. Still a lot of work to do. Of course he is going to take care of the VK, and it does help that this Tiger is also a one shot, but the T95 is still going to be a dangerous, very dangerous target. So he is going to clear this guy. With the APCR, he's got 3 rounds of APCR left. He needs to use them wisely, because now it is him versus a T95. Not the easiest of targets to go for unless you're in like a medium tank and you can get around him. When you're in a slow tank like this, with the position that the T95 is in, it's not the easiest tanks to deal with. Of course, the E75 still has some weak points as well, and it is very slow, and of course it doesn't have a turret, so he does have that advantage. Now you can see him here trying to bait a shot from this T95, and just look at that pen. He can't penetrate the T95. Even with APCR, he is unable to penetrate the T95, only from the hatches. He can only pen the hatches, but he only has 1 APCR shell left. He has to use that wisely. He can't rush it. He has to use that, and he does get the shot, and he also gets a blocked shot, and he now uses this opportunity to get around. He has to get around because he only has AP left, and he just about gets that kill. So really well played there. 3,400 blocked damage. He hardly took any damage himself, which again, all that block damage and hardly gets any damage taken is what this tank can actually do, given putting it in the right situation and the right positioning. He also ends on 5,767, 6 kills there, and a well-deserved Klobanov and a well-deserved ace. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. The EXP there, very good tank, and when it does come for sale, it does usually come for quite cheap as well. So yeah, think about buying the tank when it does. If you've got a bit of spare gold, when this tank comes available, it definitely is worth thinking about buying. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm meadsy69, and I will catch you all soon. Bye bye. With